Hey guys, how's it going? It's 8-Bit Eric. So Resident Evil has been the talk of the day in recent weeks, especially because Resident Evil Village, we're gearing up for it. We had the demo come out. We have a brand new movie coming out rather soon, a Netflix series, Resident Evil, 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 Resident Evil. I'm just joking. Anyways, guys, so Resident Evil has been crushing it. It's been everywhere. There's a lot of stuff coming. Now we got an interesting factoid from Capcom themselves in regards to Resident Evil 2 Remake. Yeah, that came out quite some time ago. I just thought this article was really interesting. Every game publisher has sales figures that are popping up, and it's pretty interesting. We just saw some Nintendo sales figures not too long ago. Animal Crossing crushed it with 30 million copies sold. You know, Age of Calamity, I believe, was around 8 or a couple million. I'm not even sure. I don't even remember. But regardless, we're seeing PlayStation news. We're seeing Switch news. We're seeing some, you know, publishers post out their sales figures, and Capcom is out here. So let's go ahead and take a look at this article. This is from kitguru.net. I thought it would be interesting to share it. It's about Resident Evil 2 Remake. I enjoyed both this one and the third remake. I hope Resident Evil 4 Remake comes out, although it looks like Village will kind of be like an offshoot of that. I don't know. So Resident Evil 2 Remake is the third best-selling Capcom game ever. So while each game publisher approaches its game sales differently, Capcom has historically been much more transparent than most when it comes to disclosing how well its games and franchises have been performing. They definitely have. Now, the publisher has updated its list of its best-selling games and franchises, revealing some interesting details. Very interesting. Now, before we really dive into it, Resident Evil's been a successful franchise for many years. Capcom is Resident Evil, Mega Man, and Street Fighter. And even then, they don't do as much Mega Man anymore. It's pretty much just been Resident Evil and Street Fighter and okay, Monster Hunter. We'll say that. And that's like really it. Mega Man just has kind of like not been as big as he used to be. But Resident Evil has single-handedly been a cornerstone of Capcom for quite some time, and Monster Hunter, of course. You know, we got a lot of Monster Hunter coming up. We just had a movie of Monster Hunter, speaking of movies. To continue this article, it says, unlike most game publishers, Capcom keeps a public record of all of its major games and franchises, named its Platinum titles. The publisher publicly discloses sales data on all its games and franchises which have surpassed 1 million copies sold. So 1 million copies sold. So as of 31st December 2020, which seems to be where a lot of companies put us as a benchmark to announce stats and stuff, the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy has now surpassed 1 million copies sold. Now, I've never personally played them. I know my buddy Alpha Omega Sin is a big fan of Ace Attorney. This pertains specifically to the repackaging of the 3 classic titles and not the 3 separate entries on the DS. So I guess the trilogy, like the whole 3-in-1 pack, sold over 1 million. I definitely need to go and check that one out. If it sounds that good, that means it's good, right? It says other notable changes include the fact that Monster Hunter World Iceborne has sold 600,000 more copies since the last update, bringing total sales for the expansion to 7.2 million copies, a massive achievement. So it finally seems like, you know, for a while it seemed like it was taking Monster Hunter some time to gain traction in North America, but now it seems like it is. And then Nintendo just announced the whole Switch exclusive Monster Hunter that will be coming out. There's 2 Monster Hunter games coming out, actually. Then we had the movie. They've been killing it. Monster Hunter is also on Game Pass last time I checked. So, you know, Monster Hunter has definitely come up on the up and up. So, nice, nice, nice. But the meat and bones of this is, it is saying the Resident Evil 3 Remake has sold a further 600,000 copies, bringing total sales to 3.6 million. While impressive in its own right, it is a far cry away from the success of Resident Evil 2's remake, which, following a further 300,000 copies sold, now stands at 7.8 million copies sold in total, making it tied with Resident Evil 5 for the second best-selling game in the entire franchise. Wow. So I actually have not played Resident Evil 5. I've heard mixed things about Resident Evil 5 and 6. I've played all of them except 5 and 6. So for whatever reason, I skipped both of those. I have absolutely no idea. I hear a lot of bad things about 6, but I hear mixed things about 5. For whatever reason, I just never played those two. I need to get on it like already. I'm a big fan of number 4. I have all the GameCube versions of 1, 2, 3, and 0. I even like the Umbrella Chronicles shooter games and stuff. I have the couple of the 3DS games. I have some on Wii U. I have a couple on PlayStation 4. I just all around have been a pretty decent fan of Resident Evil. I just have never played 5, which that's impressive that Resident Evil 5 was the second best-selling game in the entire franchise, because I didn't remember seeing that one hyped up as much as Resident Evil 4 was. But 7.8 million copies for that one in Resident Evil 2 Remake? Wow. Now, it does say the Resident Evil 7 is the best-selling, 8.5 million. That's an interesting tidbit. Now, I did enjoy 7 very much. It was a blast. Way too scared to play that in VR, though. I played it again, actually, on Game Pass. When it came out on Game Pass, I played it on my PC and played through that, and it just enjoyed it. I feel Resident Evil 7 was a return to the basics as far as like atmosphere and environment. It was first person as opposed to a third person perspective. I think it had a lot of things that changed it that I liked for the better. Because let's be honest, Code Veronica got crazy. Some of the other Resident Evil games towards the end got really out there as far as things got. So I like where they went with 7. I like where they're going with Village. Remains to be seen. Now, I believe it says, this makes Resident Evil 2 Remake the third best-selling game of all time for Capcom. Very interesting. Now, I'm curious to see how well Resident Evil Village does. I think that will break some records. Resident Evil Village seems like it has way more hype than any other Resident Evil game in quite some time. So, it remains to be seen. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, guys. Comment and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much.